Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports. Got a little sunshine in the corner here today, but there's nothing with some natural lighting, I guess, instead of using artificial lighting like I always do. But I'm going to share with you something unique in my collection, and I've picked these up over the last year or so. And this set is so unique, would be the best way I could describe it. It's unique in the fact that this set is over 50 years old. Yes, I said that right, 50 years old. These were produced in 1969. But yet, they're really not baseball cards, but they are. So what set am I talking about? I am talking about the paper thin, not even the size of a trading card, set 1969 Globe Imports gas station playing cards. And as you can see, these are paper thin, and I'll just hold a random card up to show you size comparison. Here's a 1987 Topps Tito Landrum, and you can see how small these are. And I have this one out of a holder. After I bought these sets, I put them in top loaders, but these used to come in cellophane packs, 52 cards in a deck, naturally, and these were made more or less to be disposed of. So not a lot of people have collected these over the years, and to me, this is an example of something that is rare, but necessarily isn't that valuable. And if you're a vintage card collector, you can get this set for around 10 bucks. Yeah, $10 is all that you have to spend to get this set. Now, before you spend your hard-earned money, you better listen to a couple things in this video before you decide to buy one of these sets. Alright, so naturally you would think when you buy a deck of cards there'd be 52 cards, correct? Well, that's wrong. I happened to buy two of these sets, and one of the sets was missing a Ron Swoboda card. And I don't think it's because somebody collected Ron Swoboda that I bought it from. I just simply think the person that owned this deck before me simply just didn't get the Ron Swoboda. Now the next thing to bring up about this set is not only did they have 52 cards issued in the set, they of course made alternate or short print issues of cards as well. So there are roughly 5 to 6 cards that are considered short prints in this set. And I'll go through them with you here in a second. And I might even show them on the screen for you. But these are short prints. Now there's one card, a Babe Ruth card, that is kind of confusing. A lot of people, and I'm kind of confused to be honest with you about it, and I'll show it right now. A lot of people think that it's in this set that I'm about to share with you, but from my research, it's actually in a celebrity set that was also released by Globe Imports that year, which featured actors, actresses, maybe musicians from that era and previous, you know, like Marilyn Monroe, you know, celebrities of that ilk. And Babe Ruth was in that celebrity deck of cards. So a lot of people are buying this set thinking they're going to get a Ruth. Well, you're not going to get the Ruth unless you buy the celebrity set. Now, also with that said, they decided to short print the Mickey Mantle in this set. Not every set has a Mickey Mantle in it, and both of my sets do not have the Mickey Mantle. There is also a short print Carl Yastrzemski, okay? Now, these are two major Hall of Famers that you would think every kid would want in their deck of playing cards, but for some reason they were short printed. I don't know if in the first run that, you know, maybe they got overlooked and they did like another issue of these. I really don't know the origin of these. So, those are two things that I want to point out. Now there's a third, and you're going to be like, now what? I'm just going to show you a couple examples here of the print quality of these cards from one set to another. Now, we have grown accustomed as card collectors to find the most perfect card you can possibly find of an individual. I say this as I cite example number one, Orlando Cepeda. Orlando Cepeda, Hall of Famer. You know, some people may be fans of Mr. Cepeda, but if you look at the card, the quality isn't there. You can see that the photo is completely blacked out. You can barely make out his name on that card. And in comparison to my second deck, check this one out. You can see the Cardinal logo, you can clearly see him, you can see the image, etc. So what this means, that these were printed on such low quality product. You know, I almost want to compare these to my old church bulletins growing up when I was growing up as a kid. You know, I just picture somebody sitting in the back room using one of those roller printer things to print these sets out on sheets of paper. Now, most of them seem to be cut similar, so I don't think there's a lot of miscutting or anything, but you can see that there's darkness. That, to me, that card is a printing flaw, I guess you would say, as opposed to the nice, clearer black and white photo. Now, a little bit more of my research pointed out that the set also reused some photos from the Nabisco set, which was also an insert set that year with color photos, and you were able to cut those out off of Nabisco products. So, you know, that's another thing to consider when you're buying the set, that even if you get a sealed set, you may have cards that are just completely garbage, more or less. And I'll throw a couple more examples down for you right now. Alright, so this next example is Ron Santo, and you can see a side-by-side comparison, and as you can see, the print quality is just very poor on the one on the left, and then the quality on the right has a sharper image of a black and white photo of Santo. So again, a Hall of Famer that, you know, might be your favorite player, and you pull it out and you're like, oh man, that stinks, my Ron Santo's messed up. So another thing, or another example, excuse me, here's the Willie McCovey. Again, it's all blacked out on the left. You can't even make out his name on the one on the left. And the one on the right is in better shape, I guess you would say. And this is part of the reason that a lot of collectors just do not like this set that collect vintage. It's just so hard to find a perfect copy of this card. Now, to me, that's a challenge worth taking on. I bought two of these sets, and basically between the two, I tried to make the best that I could out of the two. Now, the other set was missing the Ron Swoboda, so I consider those extras or singles or whatever, but between the two sets, I feel like I have a pretty solid foundation. Now, one more thing I want to point out before you go out and buy one of these is these came in cellophane wrappers. Well, you got to think about the era that these probably sat out, you know, on a counter, maybe some sunlight got to them, no pun intended, as I have sunlight beaming through my window. But as you can see, this card is significantly more yellow than the other two next to it. And usually the card that is on top or bottom of the cellophane wrapper would get this yellow tinge basically on it. So that's something else to consider when you're buying this set and it's sealed. If you see one, you're like, oh man, there's an Ernie Banks, you know, right there on top, for example. Well, you're probably going to get one that has the yellow tinge to it. Unless, of course, you leave it sealed and you just don't care about that. You just want a sealed set. So these are kind of 3 or 4 things you might want to consider before you actually jump in and buy this set. Now, I'm going to cut out for a second here, and I'm going to show you the best set that I have and just kind of thumb through them real quick. Alright, so I'm just going to thumb through these really quick on the screen. I'm just going to take them off and put them on type of thing so you can see them. But the first one is the Ace of Clubs, and that's Richie Allen. Now remember Richie Allen. Just stay with me on this. Remember there's Richie Allen already in this set. So there, the King of Clubs is Johnny Callison. Then there's the Ron Swoboda for the Queen of Clubs. Max Alvis. Tim McCarver, Jim Maloney, Pete Rose, very young Pete Rose, Billy Williams, Rick Reichart, Bud Harrelson, Tony Oliva, Jerry Koosman, Reggie Smith, Ken the Hawk Harrelson, Denny McClain, Rick Monday, Richie Allen. Notice, remember I said remember Richie Allen. Mel Stottlemyre, Tommy John, Don Minter, which as you can see, not yellowed up, Chico Cardenas, Willie Davis, Burnt Campy Campaneris, there's the good Santo, Al Ferrara, and Cleet Boyer. So that's two of the suit, I guess you would say, or two suits out of the deck. And now we'll move on to the next set, or suit, I should say. Bob Gibson, Ace of Diamonds, fitting. Jim Lombard, Lou Brock, Bob Esprimente, that one's not great, I'm going to have to check the other set. Frank Robinson, Kurt Flood, Tom Seaver, which you saw that in one of my previous videos. The Killer, Harmon Killebrew, Tony Horton, Earl Wilson, Jim Fregosi, Juan Marichal, Paul Casanova, which we saw earlier, Willie Mays, Rusty Staub, Gene Alley, Al Kaline, Orlando Cepeda, Brooks Robinson, Jim Wynn, Ernie Banks, Joel Horwin, Willie McCovey, Bill Freehan, Tony Caniguerio, and Chris Short. So I'm going to step back a second and talk about Caniguerio. One of my sets actually had two Caniguerios in it. Then my other set was Short, the Ron Swoboda. So we're going to take a step back here again. And we're going to go back to Richie Allen, because remember I pointed out Richie Allen's in the set twice, and here's why. So the set features 5 short prints. And one of those short prints is indeed the Ace of Clubs, and it either features Richie Allen or Carl Yastrzemski. Now, my only guess to this short print, and I'll show a picture of the Yastrzemski right now, my only guess to the short print is maybe they didn't realize they had Allen in the set, and they put Yastrzemski in the second run. Other short prints in the set include Mike McCormick, who is the 3 of Clubs, replacing Jerry Koosman. Also, the Ace of Diamonds, which featured Bob Gibson, is also replaced by Babe Ruth. But again, speculation is that the Ruth card actually is not in the baseball version of the set, but instead is in the Celebrity Globe import set. So I cannot confirm that you can pull a Babe Ruth out of the baseball version of this set. The other 2, I guess you would say, or other 3, are actually all in the Spades set. And that is the Ace of Spades, whoops, dropped one, which is Ken the Hawk Harrelson. So who did they replace Ken the Hawk Harrelson with? None other than Mickey Mantle, of course. Would you rather have Mickey Mantle, or would you rather have Ken the Hawk Harrelson? Or, better yet, would you rather have Don Drysdale? So the Ace of Spades is one of three people, okay, in this set. You can either have Drysdale, Mantle, or Harrelson. Gee, I wonder which one you would want to get. Not a tough choice. Now the second one in the set that also, out of the Spades, is also Denny McLain, and that is Cesar Tovar, which I have no clue why Cesar Tovar would be omitted from this set to begin with, but apparently it was. So, in closing, this isn't a bad set to own. It's just not the prettiest set to own. And I spent roughly $10 each on each set, and that was shipped. That was shipped to my door for $10 each. And I feel that even though they do have their flaws, they still are very cool cards from over 50 years ago. So if you like Frank Robinson, you like Willie Mays, you like some of the stars of that era, this is a great set to get some Hall of Fame cards, if you want to call them cards, playing cards of some of the greatest players from the 1960s and early 70s. Pete Rose, Tom Seaver, Bob Gibson, Lou Brock, on down the list. So I hope I educated you a little bit about these Globe import cards, but I just want to warn you, buyer beware, that unless you see every single card and you're buying them singly, if you buy the set as a whole still sealed, you may be very disappointed when you open up your set. So thanks for joining me for another episode. Hope you enjoyed this one. It's a little bit longer, but as you know, we had a lot to cover. Thanks for watching. Look for your comments below.